There are moments in a man's life when the universe sends a little nudge, some weird cosmic hiccup to let you know the ground beneath your feet is about to split like a bad sidewalk. For me, that moment was a Tuesday morning. Not just any Tuesday, mind you. This one had the distinct scent of trouble wafting through the eggs I'd just overcooked. My name's Jack Holloway. I own two things with pride: a perfectly restored 1968 Mustang Fastback and a stubborn sense of decency I inherited from my father. Both had served me well until that day. Now, my wife, Cassie, had a thing for details. Never left the house without checking the mirror twice and her earrings thrice. But that morning, she forgot them. Left her favorite pair, gold hoops from her mother, sitting on the kitchen counter next to a mug with lipstick that wasn't her usual shade. A small detail, you'd think. But in a life that ran on routine like clockwork, it was a loud clang in the gears. I was sipping my coffee, staring at those earrings, when my phone buzzed. Running late. Meeting at the gallery. Don't wait for me for dinner. Love you. That was the text. Simple. Normal. Except it wasn't. Cassie never had meetings on Tuesdays. Her gallery closed Mondays and Tuesdays. I should know. I helped paint the damn walls. But here's the thing. Suspicion isn't like a fire alarm. It doesn't scream. It whispers. Quiet. Persistent. I didn't text back. I just pocketed my phone and looked at those earrings like they were whispering too. By noon, I was halfway through my day at the hardware store I manage, and something gnawed at me like a squirrel in the attic. You ever feel something's off but can't prove it yet? Like you walked into a room and forgot why, but deep down, you know it wasn't to say, I love you? When I got home that night, Cassie wasn't there. No leftovers in the fridge. Just the faintest trace of a cologne that wasn't mine or hers. And right then, sitting in that quiet kitchen, staring at those lonely gold earrings under the flickering light bulb above our dining table, I knew something had cracked. I didn't know it yet, but the foundation of my marriage had already collapsed. I didn't confront her that night. Not because I was scared, but because I was collecting data. See, when a man gets cheated on, he either explodes like a cheap firework, or he tightens the lid and turns into a scientist. I chose the latter. I wasn't going to make a scene. I was going to make a case. Cassie came home around 10:17 p.m. I remember because I looked at the clock the second I heard her keys in the door. She walked in wearing a smile so forced it should have had a warning label. She kissed me on the cheek, her usual spot, but there was a hesitation, a slight tremble like she wasn't sure she still had the right. How was the gallery? I asked. Oh, exhausting, she sighed, throwing her purse onto the couch like it owed her money. The new artist a total diva. Funny thing was, I'd already Googled the gallery that evening. Website said it was closed all week for renovations. Plumbing issues, according to their splash page. So either she was in the wrong building or the wrong business. I nodded and said nothing. She didn't notice the earrings were still on the counter. Over the next few days, I became someone I never thought I'd be observant. Her phone started living face down. She smiled at texts she didn't show me. And every Thursday, suddenly, she had book club, even though the only book she'd finished in the last year was a magazine about throwing minimalist dinner parties. That Saturday, I tested a theory. Told her I had to drive upstate for a supplier issue. A lie, sure, but in the name of science. She barely blinked, kissed me goodbye like a coworker, and I left. Then I doubled back, parked the Mustang 2 blocks away, and watched our front door from the shadows like a noir detective with a broken heart. At exactly 7:04 p.m., a silver Audi I'd never seen before pulled into the driveway. A man got out. Confident. Casual. The type who uses product in his hair and thinks quoting Tarantino makes him deep. Cassie opened the door before he even knocked. She was wearing the earrings. Not the gold ones she forgot. The ones I gave her on our anniversary. They kissed like they'd done it before. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Just watched them walk into my house like I was the ghost, and they were the new owners. I stayed there for an hour. Then drove off, slow and calm, like I wasn't just quietly planning the end of the world. Because the truth had arrived. But the consequences? They were still on their way. You ever had your soul hit by a wrecking ball in a button-down shirt? That's what it felt like when I finally saw it in full color. See, watching from a distance is one thing. It leaves room for doubt, for rationalization. Maybe it was a work thing. Maybe he's gay and they're old friends. Maybe I'm the crazy one. But facts don't bend for feelings. And I was done playing defense. I hired a private investigator. Not one of those trench coat stereotypes with a drinking problem and a chip on their shoulder. No, this was Amanda Nguyen. Ex-cop. Efficient. Deadpan. Looked like she'd never cracked a smile and never missed a shot. She promised results in 48 hours. Delivered in 36. When she handed me the folder, she didn't say a word. Just gave me a look like, "You sure you want to open this?" I nodded. Inside were time-stamped photos. Cassie and Mr. Audi. Kissing in the car. Holding hands in a grocery store aisle like high school sweethearts on a cereal run. Checking into a hotel downtown under the name Mr. and Mrs. Carter. His name, apparently. Page after page. The last one? My wife standing on our porch in nothing but his jacket, kissing him goodbye with the same smile she used to save for me. And just like that, the lie had a face. And a name. You might expect a man to lose it right there. To throw the folder, punch a wall, yell at the ceiling. But not me. I just closed the folder, set it down, and smiled. Amanda looked at me, curious. That it? That's all I needed. Because now it wasn't a feeling anymore. It was evidence. And evidence? That's admissible. That night, Cassie came home and kissed me like nothing had happened. I kissed her back. Held her tighter than usual. Asked if she wanted wine. She said yes. She didn't notice the new camera on the bookshelf. Didn't notice that I had already removed her name from our joint accounts that morning. Didn't notice that I wasn't wearing my wedding ring anymore. But she would. Soon. Because this wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was preparation. There's a difference between leaving and evacuating. When someone betrays you, you don't just pack a bag and walk out the front door like a guest who overstayed his welcome. No, you planned your exit like a surgeon. No blood. Just precision. Cassie was still playing the role of a wife, and I played along. Smiled. Cooked dinner. Asked about her book club. She told me they were reading something French. I resisted the urge to say, "Is it called How to Cheat on a Decent Man Without Getting Caught?" and instead poured her another glass of Pinot Noir. She had no idea the man across the table from her was gone. The day after I got the photos from Amanda, I saw my lawyer. His name's Roy. Wears cowboy boots with suits and calls everyone partner, even his ex-wife. But don't let the charm fool you. Roy's the kind of guy who can dissect a prenup like a toad in high school biology. And lucky for me, Cassie had insisted we sign one when she was the breadwinner. Back then, I was starting the hardware store, and she had that gallery curator gig with the fat trust fund subsidy. Now, let's just say the tables had flipped, and the prenup aged like a fine revenge. She's the one who strayed? Roy asked, reading the file Amanda had put together. These timestamps airtight? Better than Fort Knox. Partner, you've got yourself a golden ticket. He tapped the clause in the prenup that lit me up inside. Adultery voids claim to shared marital assets. She gets nothing that ain't on her body or in her purse. Perfect. That afternoon, I hit the banks. I closed every joint account. Froze every shared credit card. Moved the business money into a separate trust. Left her exactly $0. I even called the dealership about the BMW I bought her for our anniversary last year. Yes, that anniversary. You sure you want to do that, Mr. Holloway? The guy asked. It's still under your name. Yep. Schedule the repo. I want it off the property by the end of the week. Next, I went to the house. My house. Took inventory. Jewelry? Gone into a safe box. The valuables? Insured and relocated. I even took the espresso machine. That thing had more emotional intelligence than my wife. But here's the part I'm most proud of. I didn't tell her. Not yet. See, I didn't want the fight. I wanted the moment. The one where she realized the world she built out of lies just came crashing down, brick by borrowed brick. So I waited. I waited for the exact day 2 weeks later, when she left for one of her little work weekends. Another hotel stay, I assumed. Maybe another French book to read. She left in a hurry. Rushed. Almost like someone was excited to get away from home. She packed light. Slid into the BMW and backed out like she had somewhere better to be. She didn't know it was the last time she'd drive that car. That same afternoon, I filed the divorce papers. Amanda served them at 4:06 p.m., right in the lobby of whatever hotel she'd been checking into with Mr. Audi, right as she leaned in for what I assume was their usual post-check-in kiss. Her face, Amanda said, was the kind of art museums don't have the guts to hang. Now here's the kicker. When she tried to pay for the room, cards declined. Every single one. She called me, of course. 5 times. No voicemail. Just rang. Then texted. What is going on, Jack? Then, my card's not working. Is there a bank error? Then, are you seriously doing this right now? That one made me chuckle. As if betrayal had a business hours clause. I didn't answer. I wanted her to stew in the silence, the same kind she gave me every Thursday night while I waited at home with the dinner going cold. By the time she got home that Sunday, the house was half empty. Not in a dramatic, chairs falling over kind of way. No, it was precise. Surgical. Every drawer she opened, cleaned out. Every closet, spare hangers and emptiness. Her suitcase dropped to the floor like a bad alibi. She called my name. Once. Twice. Then she noticed the car was gone. Then the joint account notification emails. Then the letter on the kitchen table, beside a photo of her kissing Mr. Audi on our porch. Her hands shook. I watched from the security camera feed. I'd been staying at my buddy Nate's place, nursing whiskey and watching this like a man at the theater. She sat down, cried, cursed, screamed into the void of a home that no longer belonged to her. And I raised a glass. Not out of joy. Not even out of spite. Out of relief. I'd finally stopped being the man waiting for her to come home. Cassie found me 2 days after the repo truck took the BMW. She showed up at Nate's place unannounced, wearing that same beige coat she used to put on before lying to my face. She looked rattled, like someone who thought she was in a dream until the cold air reminded her she was very much awake. Nate opened the door, looked her up and down like a bouncer at a club, then turned back to me on the couch. She's here. I didn't get up right away. Took a sip of my coffee first. Black. No cream. I was learning to appreciate things stripped of illusions. She stepped into the living room like it was a battlefield. You emptied the accounts. I didn't answer. You canceled the cards. Still quiet. You took everything. There it was. I set my mug down on the coffee table and looked her dead in the eye. No, Cass. I left you exactly what you had the day you cheated. Your body, your decisions, and that god-awful beige coat. Her mouth opened, then closed. She wasn't expecting me to be calm. She wanted rage. A fight. Something to work with. But all I gave her was a man who had already signed the emotional divorce before the paperwork. I thought you were better than this, Jack. That made me laugh. She thought I was being petty. Better than what, Cass? Holding someone accountable for burning down our life like it was a scented candle. She stepped forward, her voice rising. We were drifting, Jack. You stopped paying attention. You stopped trying. You made it so easy for me to... To what? I snapped. To replace me with Mr. Audi and a fake name on a hotel registry? She blinked. Gotcha. Yeah, I know about that. The check-ins. The reservations. The champagne bill to the room. You didn't even try to be original. Her face crumpled for just a second before the mask came back on. It wasn't just about him. No, it was about you. That's the part you keep skipping. She tried again. Jack, we had problems. We had bills, Cass. We had laundry, grocery runs, and taxes. We had Tuesdays and Thursdays and, hey, I forgot to grab milk. Can you? You wanted passion. You wanted someone who made you feel 22 again. I get it. I stood up and walked over to her. But here's what you didn't get. That's not marriage. Marriage isn't fireworks and flings. It's keeping the pilot light going when the fireworks stop. She looked down, folding her arms across her chest like she needed armor. So what now? Now, I said. Now you sign the papers. You walk away with nothing, because you cashed in your chips when you checked into a hotel under another man's name. I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem. A silence stretched between us. One of those long, quiet standoffs where time feels like it's waiting in the corner for someone to blink. I still love you, she whispered. I didn't laugh. Didn't yell. Just looked at her with the kind of deadpan that only the thoroughly betrayed can master. No, Cass. You loved the version of me that made you feel safe while you chased danger. You loved the security blanket, the backup plan. But me? Me you lied to. Repeatedly. Her voice cracked. I made a mistake. That's not a mistake. Leaving your keys in the freezer is a mistake. Sneaking around with another man for weeks, maybe months? That's a campaign. She sank onto the armrest of Nate's recliner, suddenly deflated. You made it so final. No, I said. You did. The moment you decided he deserved parts of you that were promised to me. The moment you came home and looked me in the eye like nothing happened. I walked over to the small drawer Nate kept by the front door. Pulled out the envelope I'd been saving for this moment. Dropped it on the table in front of her. The paperwork. You can sign now, or have your attorney call mine. Either way, I'm done playing house. Her eyes flicked down to the envelope. She didn't reach for it. Not yet. She was still hoping for a twist. A second act. There wasn't going to be one. I hope he was worth it, I said, turning away. She stood. He's married too. He ghosted me as soon as he got served. I almost smiled. Almost. Sounds like you two deserved each other. She didn't have a comeback for that one. Cassie stared at the envelope, then at me. What happened to you? I stopped believing the best in people who lied to me. She picked up the envelope and left without another word. No slamming doors. No dramatic exits. Just the sound of finality. And for the first time in months, the house, though technically Nate's, felt peaceful. After Cassie left Nate's place, I sat in silence for a long time. Not mourning, just processing. It's funny how people talk about heartbreak like it's some sudden collapse, but the truth is, it's more like a leak. Slow, steady, and one day you wake up ankle deep in water wondering how you missed it. I changed the locks the next morning. Not symbolic, practical. Her name was still technically on the deed until the court stamped the papers, and I wasn't about to be the guy who got robbed by his own ex-wife. The repo guys finished hauling off the last of her lease. Yes, she'd put some furniture on credit under my name. Nate and I toasted with cheap scotch and better music. The playlist? Everything from Johnny Cash to Radiohead. Heartbreak, but make it soulful. Cassie tried to text me once more. Can we just talk? I blocked the number. Sometimes strength isn't lifting a weight. It's letting go of dead weight. I took a trip. Nothing dramatic, just a cabin 2 hours north, the kind of place with bad Wi-Fi, excellent bourbon, and silence so thick it felt padded. No Cassie. No lawyers. No cameras watching from bookshelves. Just me, the trees, and time. I built fires. Cooked real meals. Read a book I never finished 2 years ago. And I started writing. Not a journal. Just thoughts, like I was finally catching up with a version of myself that had gone missing in my own marriage. That's where the idea came to me, not revenge. That came later. This was clarity. I wasn't just going to move on. I was going to make sure she never forgot me. Let's be clear. I'm not violent. I'm deliberate. But something about betrayal rewires the soul. It doesn't turn you into a monster. It turns you into a man who understands what monsters are for. Turns out Mr. Audi, real name, Landon Mercer, wasn't just married. He had kids. 2 of them. And a wife who looked like she'd been through one too many late meetings herself. Amanda, my PI, handed me a file with Landon's whole life in it. She didn't ask what I was going to do with it. Professionals don't ask questions like that. I waited for the right moment. Cassie was still trying to stay afloat, pretending to be shocked when her credit got denied at the boutique. Posting inspirational quotes on Instagram like, "It's not rejection, it's redirection." Cute. Meanwhile, I sent Landon's wife a copy of Amanda's file. Anonymous delivery. USB stick. A full season of betrayal in HD, timestamped. Categorized. Labeled. She filed for divorce within the week. And Landon? He lost his job. Apparently, the company frowned on conduct unbecoming when you're in upper management. Yes, his boss wasn't a fan of extramarital creativity. As for Cassie, she came to court in a borrowed dress and a discount purse. She tried to smile at me. I didn't even blink. Here's where the story sharpens its teeth. The divorce finalized clean. She got nothing, just like the prenup promised. No alimony. No assets. The judge even chuckled when her lawyer tried to request the BMW. Ma'am, the vehicle was repossessed 2 months ago. Cassie moved into a furnished studio apartment with water stains on the ceiling and a view of a dumpster. She tried to revive her art career. Turns out, adultery doesn't make you very popular in a town that thrives on reputation. Meanwhile, I threw a party. No, really. It wasn't a spite party. It was a rebirth. Just close friends, backyard lights, ribs on the grill. At some point, someone raised a glass and said, "To starting over." And I finally smiled. Not because it was over, but because I'd survived. Then I did something I never thought I would. I visited the guy. Landon. He was staying with a cousin outside of town, limping from a fall he apparently had in the garage. Strange how karma handles footwork. I didn't announce myself. Just waited by his car one evening. He recognized me instantly. Eyes widened. Body tensed. "Look, man." I raised a hand. "Don't speak." I didn't hit him. I didn't scream. I just leaned in, real close. "I want you to remember something," I said. "When your life feels like it's turned to dust, when you're scraping to rebuild and no one wants to hire you, trust you, or shake your hand, I want you to remember me." He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. "Because I'm not the one who destroyed your life, Landon. You are." Then I walked away. That's the kind of revenge no court can deliver. A year later, I stood in the same kitchen where Cassie once forgot her earrings. New paint. New floors. New memories. No ghosts. She called once from a burner phone. Left a voicemail. Said she was finally starting to understand everything. I deleted it. Some stories don't need sequels. I'm not a hero. I'm not some warrior poet. I'm just a man who got dragged through the mud and stood back up with clean boots. People ask me if I've forgiven her. Truth is, I don't carry her anymore. That weight's been dropped. That chapter's closed. Forgiveness? That's optional. But dignity? That's forever. And I still have mine.